Well, hey guys. First, I want to say I cannot believe that I'm actually starting a YouTube channel. But I'm so excited. Um, so I'm looking forward to this journey. The second thing I want to say is thank you for being here. Because, like they say in church, you could have been anywhere, but you chose to be here with me. So, thank you for coming to my channel and supporting the page and seeing what it is Courtney Coco has to say. So I am just going to get started. So like I said, my name's Courtney. Some people call me Coco. It's not a name that I grew up with, but it kind of became like that edgy side of me, and I always been edgy. So the people that know, they know, and they call me Coco. But I started this page because I felt like I had a message for somebody, and starting this, I know that my message is not for everybody, and I'm okay with that. The older version of Courtney, of Coco, would have been worried about if people resonate with the things that I say. And I thank God for pulling me out of that people-pleasing spirit to just be myself. And on the journey, I've just learned that, part of my purpose is to transform other people who have a similar story, a similar insecurity, and that's what it is. When you are a people pleaser, there's some insecurities inside of you that makes you feel like you have to get validation from other people. And so in my journey, I learned that I didn't love myself as much as I thought I did, and I loved people who really didn't have love for me. And I caused it to, change who I was or put on a mask. It caused me anxiety. It caused me depression. And I got to a place where I just knew I had to do something different. It was no repeating the cycles anymore for me. And that's really how my journey started. I thought about, what I was gonna say to start off my channel, and I've been having this vision for over a year now, and I feel good about even coming out of that mentality, and what I consider to be a short amount of time, because some people sit in that for 5, 10, 20 years, just repeating that cycle over and over again, not being able to pull themselves out of it. And I thank God that he showed me the way. I want to start off by saying that I have grown to learn that I am a very spiritual person, and I'm a religious person. I know in our culture, in the Black culture, it's this stigma about the church, and I'm not here to change your views. I'm just speaking my truth. This is Coco, okay? This is Coco's truth. And I struggled with self-identity, as far as my spirituality went. Am I spiritual? Am I religious? Listening to, other people in my circle voice, their thoughts about religion. Nobody really talked about spirituality, but, as far as religion goes, you got the people that grew up in the church who hate the church, the people who didn't grow up in church, who, teeter in and out of church, the people who just don't fool with church at all. And I was like, where do I fit? I fit in the middle. I didn't really grow up in church. We were in and out. And I, had created that same cycle with my kids. And so I had a moment where I know I had my first encounter with God, my first real encounter. I remember I used to go to church as an adult, I already had my kids, and I'm non-denominational, and it would be these people in there who would just be like hooping and hollering and running around the church, and it ain't like Southern Baptist, but you got the people who they feel the spirit and they just get loose with it. And I ain't mad at them, but I'm like, I used to look at them like they have been through something. I'm like, God, I ain't been through nothing. Like, cause why am I not celebrating in that way? And little did I know, I had been through a lot, but I had learned to suppress it, to be strong, superwoman, be there for everybody, and I wasn't there for myself. And so, anyway, my first encounter with God, baby, that thing had me understanding why the people that I had saw in church were doing what they were doing, because God took me out of a very dark place. It was right after a tragedy with my nephew. I lost my nephew. Long live Che. I love you and I miss you, and I thank you for sending me messages and being near me, and we miss you so much. But it was after that the whole family was going through it. We just didn't understand why. He was such a good kid, such a good spirit, and he didn't deserve what happened to him. And then I was going through some things in my personal life. We'll get into it a little more later, but I'm a divorcee. I got married at 19, and it was a very nasty divorce, and but I learned some very valuable lessons, and I vowed to myself that I wouldn't repeat the cycle twice. But I'm human, and I was starting to create the cycle, and I didn't know it at the time, but I do now. And so when I had my encounter with God, I literally thought I was dying. I thought I was having a heart attack. It was a panic attack, but it was a spiritual awakening. And if you don't know what that is, we'll talk more about it. But I had a spiritual awakening. I had an encounter with God, and I had been doing all of these things. God had been telling me to do certain things like meditate and stretch and eat healthy and learn good breathing techniques, which I learned through meditation. And I had fallen off a little bit. I'm on, I'm off. And when I had my encounter with God, I thought I was having a heart attack. And I'm a nurse, so, I felt like I had the tightness in my chest. I couldn't breathe. I was getting lightheaded, and all I could think was, you cannot die today. You cannot go out like this. It is so much that you have to do. Your kids are in the next rooms. Don't let them find you like this. And I put into practice all the things that God had been putting in me to want to nurture, like meditating and having a good supply of oxygen in my body because of the things that I had been feeding myself, and you know, my endurance from working out. All of those things came into practice because all I could hear God saying was, remember the things that you have been doing to prepare you for this moment. And what I did was I stopped panicking and I breathed. And I mean, I was going through the house, y'all, waving my arms. Ah! Waving my arms, like, slow deep breath in, hold it, release it, giving my brain the oxygen that it needed because I knew I was going to drop. I just knew it. And y'all know me. If you know me, you know I'm a nature person. I'm sitting outside right now. And so God told me, go outside. And it was night. It was 3 in the morning, y'all. 3 in the morning. We'll talk about that later, too, because God talks to you more clearly between certain hours of the morning. And it was like 3:30 something. I believe it was 3:33. And that's that's another thing, y'all. 3:33, it has spiritual meaning. And so anyway, I went outside and I started breathing in the fresh air, that 3 a.m. air. And this was November, so it wasn't too cold. It was so refreshing, and I listened to the trees, and I just kept telling myself to breathe. And long story short, I had some olive oil that I had just bought that day for my chicken, y'all, for my grilled chicken. I bought that for my grilled chicken. And I remember when I walked in the house to get water, because I was like, you need to hydrate, girl. When I walked in the kitchen, I remembered that I had bought that new bottle of oil. And I had an interaction with somebody who asked me if I ever anointed my house, anointed my kids. And she said that you can use any oil, but, you know, make sure it's not one that got multiple uses. It's just for that. So the fact that I went to the grocery store to pick up oil that day for what I thought was going to be my chicken, it ended up being anointing oil. And I anointed my whole house. Never did it in my life. Didn't know much about it. You know, I heard about it, but I'm like, I don't even know do they really do something? It did something for me that day. I put a cross on every surface of my house. Every surface. I went outside my house. I put it on my doors. I put it on my kids. I put it on their bedroom doors, the hallway, the laundry room, every inch of this house. I still have, if I could, I would show you, but I don't think with the sun you will be able to see it. But I can still see the cross. Let me see. Maybe you can. No, I didn't think so. Anyway, it's a cross on my door. It's still there. And I just started praying and I started thanking God. And the next day, I had woke up too late to go to church. I didn't even have it on my mind to go to church. I was actually supposed to be meeting a friend for brunch, and we hadn't set a time. So when let me rewind. I remember asking God to please allow me to wake up in the morning. I asked him to just please wake me up. I said, if I have lived out my purpose, I know you're going to take me in my sleep, but if I still have to live out my purpose, if I haven't done it yet, I know you'll wake me up. And when I woke up, I was so thankful. And all I could do was express gratitude. And I remembered that I was supposed to have brunch with a friend, but we didn't pick a time. So when I jumped in, to message her, I could see the bubbles. She was already messaging me, and she was like, hey, can we do it at this time? Scratch that. I think I'm going to go to church today. Can we do a late brunch, early lunch? And I was like, you know what? This is what I told her. the night that I had last night, I think I'm gonna go to church too. And all I kept thinking was this girl probably thinking like, "Oh, girl, you wow." And it was just that I was so thankful that God had woke me up that I was like, Lord, I owe you a big thank you. Let me spend some time with you. So it was too late for me to go to church physically. So I logged in online. At the end of it, um, my pastor, Pastor Cheryl Brady at the Potter's House, North Dallas in Frisco. I absolutely adore her and her entire family. It's a her, okay, for those of you who still want to live by the stereotypes of a black preacher, male. It is a beautiful white woman of God, and I love her to death. I listened to her message while I cleaned the house, what I would normally do, you know, if I went to church from home. And that's why I find that it's better to just physically go. But you know, some mornings you just don't got the strength to go, and you just like, okay, I'll go online. But I know me, I'm gonna start doing stuff around the house, not really paying attention, and that's what I did that day. I wasn't paying attention, and it got to where she was at the point of like altar call, and she said, I don't know what's going on in the world today, but I know that there's a division, and there are so many young people that I feel like are supposed to be doing something more for God and doing more of His work. And you feel it, but, you know, in a nutshell, because I can't remember, this was 2020. But in a nutshell, it was like, you know, I need y'all to listen to the calling and be courageous and do what God has been putting in your spirit. And she said that, you know, when you have an interaction where God's calling you to live out your purpose, it's going to feel like your heart is exploding. Y'all, I fell out. I was no longer doing the dishes, okay? Because I couldn't understand what happened to me. I did have some thoughts that it was bringing me anxiety right before it happened. That's why I called it a panic attack. But I know it's much deeper than that. I knew it was more spiritual. But when she said, like, your heart is going to explode, and I knew that it was God creating a clean heart in me. And I'm not, you know, listen, I'm just in this season to where I'm, you know, learning God's word. I can't quote you a lot of Bible verses, but I'm learning. And I know that God can create in us a clean heart. And that's what He did. And I was like, God, I'm gonna be some sort of deacon in the church or something, you know. And I was excited. I shared it with a couple of people closest to me. I don't know if that's what I was supposed to do. I don't think I was. I think because of that, you know, the devil tried to get busy, and because he knew I was on to something, and he started creating fear and doubt in me, which is what started my healing journey. And I sat on it forever, not confident in what it is I felt like God was trying to tell me. And so, man, I went through some shit to get to where I am today. But I thank God so much. I thank Him so much. I didn't start off by saying it, but this community that I want to create here, it's a community that is a safe space. It's a community where we don't judge each other. It's a community where we can speak our truth. We can be true to ourselves. And that's a little bit behind why I named True. Because it's a true journey to self-love and love for God, and understanding what life is really about. understanding why healing is really important, and understanding why some of us are called to break generational curses, understanding of, the importance of your mental health, setting boundaries, letting things go that no longer serve you, having grace, learning to forgive yourself and others, not taking every step backwards as a failure, and understanding what was the lesson that you needed to learn from that. I feel like that's what God has called me to do. And I feel like He's been ordering my steps since I was a kid, before I was born. If I'm going to get real with y'all, He knew who we were before we was formed in our mother's womb. So He called me, and He chose me to do this. The Bible says that many are called, but few are chosen. And I know that I'm a chosen one. And He has been so good to me that I know that I have to share His grace and His glory with other people who are going through life trying to figure it out. Because we humans, at the end of the day, we're all spiritual beings, regardless of what your views are. Whoever it is you answer to. I'm not here to... For me, it's God. For you, it might be spirit. For you, it might be Allah. Or for you, I don't know. Whatever all the entities are, okay? Whatever it is to you. I'm not here to change your views on that. Let's make that clear. But I was chosen, and I answered the call. I finally answered the call, and that's why I'm here. So thank you so much for tuning in, and I have some really exciting things I feel like God is doing in my life, and I can't wait to share them in hopes that you'll answer the call and watch Him do the same amazing things in yours. Please, if this resonated with you, like it, share it, subscribe to my channel. I'm super excited for the elevation and the transformation that's going to happen in all of our lives. And I can't wait to see what God is going to do and how He's going to use me. I'm so excited. I'm not scared anymore. I'm not saying that I'm not going to have moments where I'm scared, because when you answer the call, you're going to be attacked. I have been attacked, y'all. But I'm okay with sharing that with y'all, because Courtney has always been a truth teller. I can't tell a lie, y'all. My poker game face is weak. So, but for some people, it's like, why you tell the truth? Why you tell too much? No, I'm just a very transparent person, and my soul connects with people who are transparent, who can be vulnerable and real and human. Okay? Because at the end of the day, we're human. We all make mistakes. None of us are perfect. I don't care what you tell yourself, baby, you're not perfect, okay? And I used to think that I had to be. I had to ask God to remove this spirit of perfectionism in me, which I know now started in my childhood. Same for many of you. A lot of our traumas stem from childhood. But that's why healing and therapy is important, because you can only really come to the realization in one of many ways. You can just hit rock bottom and just choose to do different, or God can really just lay you flat out on your ass and tell you to come with me. Or be a lunatic and keep doing the same thing that you've been doing and getting the same results. The results ain't gonna change. Y'all know that's a definition of insanity, right? Doing the same thing over and over again and expecting to get different results. It don't work like that. So this journey, my page is gonna be for people who are on the same path, figuring out life, understand the lessons, because they are blessings, feeling the emotions, and choosing to see the bigger picture in it. That's what I believe is an abundant life. And through doing that, your faith increases, your spirituality increases, you elevate. It's an elevation. You evolve, you transform, and you start living through your purpose, which brings, it's gonna bring some dough. God is gonna bless you spiritually, mentally, emotionally, and financially. And I haven't got to that yet. I believe it. I trust it because I have faith in what God's word is. He will give me all the desires of my heart. And a desire of my heart is to be financially secure and free and loving on me and loving on the people that I care about. So like, share, and subscribe. Thank you so much for tuning in. I cannot wait to meet with y'all again. And if this message for you, I'm glad that it blessed you. If it's not, that's okay too. I'm just not your cup of tea, or you're just not there yet. You're not ready to receive it. It's all grace and love over here. Okay? You'll find your way. It's like an addict. You can force an addict to go to rehab all you want to. But it's not until they choose to do it that things start changing in their life. So my job is not to force you to do anything. We have free will, thank God. But if it's for you, it's for you. Stay tuned. I have some merch that I want to drop, and I think I want to vlog and get into photography, and oh my God, I have so many things I feel like God is doing in my life. And I realize how much of a creative person I am. And I'm a dreamer. And a lot of people like to try to crush your dreams, and especially when you haven't moved on it. But all of that stems from, not dealing with the insecurities you have and the fear of failure or the fear of being successful. That's a real thing too, especially in the Black community. But, get over, speaking publicly. And, I'm somebody who say 100 times in a conversation. And the devil tried to stop me from doing this because, I recognize it. And it used to be something I hate, but it's just like, public speaking. How many people do that? Not many. It's brave for me to do this. Saying and all. I've just accepted it. It is what it is. The more I do it, the more practice I get, the less I'll do it. And so that's having grace for yourself. And I have allowed myself to give myself a ton of grace in this season of my life. So welcome to Glow Up with Cocoa Flowers. I can't wait to see you on the next video. I'll be back soon. All right, I love you guys, and welcome to the Glow Up Tribe, baby.